Hulu's irreverent new series about the life of Catherine the Great of Russia. It's created by Tony McNamara, who wrote The Favourite and earned an Oscar nomination for doing so. And it stars Elle Fanning as Catherine and Nicholas Hoult as her husband, Peter. I'm thrilled all three of them are with us now. And let's take a look at a clip from this irreverent new show.
If you spy a rabbit, point, but do not yell.
It must be an enormous responsibility and honor to lead a country of such import.
It's actually not that hard.
The decisions must weigh heavy.
No, not really. I was born to rule. Rabbit! Damn!
I would like to be useful to Russia, to help its greatness.
You will bear my heirs. There is no higher use. You are blessed. Are you with child yet?
I am not.
I must empty myself into you again soon. Rabbit. Damn!
I thought perhaps I could help in education. There's an explosion of ideas in France.
And an explosion of syphilis in Kiev.
What?
It is a joke. You are slow of mind and wit. Gents, I said there is an explosion of syphilis in Kiev. Did you roll coloured balls with the ladies?
Briefly.
It is a lark. What fun. We're in fact modernizing in a European way. I have banned beards in men under 50. It is a better look. The big Russian beards look like men are eating a whole beaver, and it will not do.
Beards, yes, indeed. My question is, can I fund a small school?
Will it stop you talking about dull things? And I jest, of course, sort of.
It will.
If it makes you happy, you may do it. Talk to Bettina for fun.
So that gives a great sample of the tone of this brilliant new show. Now, Tony McNamara, as I said in the intro, you wrote The Favourite. You were Oscar nominated for doing so. But I remember a conversation that we had at the time where you told me that you weren't a fan of period pieces, and yet here you are having done 2 in a row. So what gives?
I should do something I like. I think it's just the characters. I think once you find the characters, and I think I just don't like the politeness of period shows. It's not like I don't like I like Dangerous Liaisons and Barry Lyndon and things like that. I think I've always just been a bit bored by a sort of BBC style period show. So I've always wanted, I love the life and deathness and the high stakes of period shows, particularly sort of Our World. But I just never liked the polite execution. It didn't seem interesting character-wise, and it didn't feel sort of visceral and present, and didn't feel very funny. So,
well, there's very little politeness to the court drama of the Great. What made you alight on Catherine the Great's story originally? What kind of drew you in? What did you know about her going in?
I think I didn't know much about her, except maybe she banged a horse. And then I watched a little, I saw I must be seeing 4 minutes or heard 4 minutes of something about her keeping the Enlightenment alive. And so I sort of read up on her, and she seemed an amazing character and really complicated and really modern in a lot of ways. So that made me want to write about her. And then it was like, well, how do I write about her in a way that will make me want to watch it?
Elle, for you, what was it that drew you to this part? And what did you actually know about Catherine the Great when you started?
Ooh, this was a complete gift of a project and of a script. I've never read anything quite like it. And I feel extremely special that it fell into my hands. It's completely, I guess that the genre and the irreverence and the wittiness is very up my alley. So I was laughing the whole way through, was extremely excited by it. And when I read the script for it, it was like a film version that Tony had written a while ago, and it spanned more of her life. So the young Catherine was just a small portion. And this script came with, possibly the idea of it, being turned into a TV show, and me maybe, getting to play the young version of Catherine and showing her, starting with her being married off to Peter. And and her growing into the powerful leader that we know her as. But I didn't also like Tony. I knew her for the horse incident. And sadly, that was all I really knew about her. I knew she was the Empress of Russia, but through this, I learned so much more, obviously, of what she did and how she truly is this feminist icon. And she took down the man. Like she did it. And that's just so fascinating, was exciting to me. And to show how she became the person to be able to do that. Because of course she's born with those qualities inside her, but she has to learn how to use those qualities. And so that's what enticed me the most. And her gorgeous optimism and romanticism that she has in the beginning. And she's a true romantic. And throughout the series, she learns that Russia is actually her great love. It's not a man, it's a country.
Well, now Peter ruled as the Emperor of Russia for 6 months, but Nick is in this series for the whole run of the show. It makes me wonder, like, I mean, Catherine's story runs for years and years and years. She was the longest serving female ruler in Russian history. Tony, did you always imagine that there would be scope for future stories, future seasons?
Yeah, I think so. I think it felt like that was the thing about it. I think originally it was a play and then I wrote a film version, but there was never enough time to tell the story. And it wasn't until I thought, oh, TV is the better medium for this. And then it all fell into place. I think because it's a long story to tell. It's about a young woman who comes to Russia as a 20-year-old and takes over this empire. So it's very interesting how that happened and how she got to that point in itself, and how the court responded and how the emperor responded. That in itself feels like a couple of seasons before she, depending, I'm not saying when she takes power, but it sort of is a story that's so big, and it has such scope that it was always in my head that it would take a few seasons to tell the story.
Now, Nick, you'll of course be very familiar with Tony's dialogue from The Favourite, and you seem to have as much fun playing Peter here as you did playing Harley in that film. What drew you into this?
Well, yeah, I'm lucky. The second time working with Tony, and everything I've read that he's written, I just fell in love with instantly. It's kind of the perfect framework as an actor, because you get given exactly these brilliant, witty dialogue to deliver, but then also the scenes just always kind of work fundamentally. So then you kind of can go off and play. And with Peter, as you can see from the clip that you showed, he's very charming, and he's got a real way with words. And he's just this, he's a slightly deluded character who's quite simple, but also very complicated because of his parents and the shoes he's filling. And then also this idea that he's a kind of a stream of conscious. Everything that he thinks, he says, and has never had anyone say no to him. So he's a very fun character to play because there's no boundaries really with what you can do.
Mm. Well, we see in that clip earlier the great interplay between these two characters. I wonder, was it kind of fun to torture one another on screen?
Completely. I think that, not that Nick and I have a similar relationship, but I think that we love challenging each other. I think we like to push each other's buttons a bit, and play on screen when we get that. We have these amazing scenes that Tony has written for us, that are, just at a breakfast table and just going back and forth and really going head on with these delicious words that I was also trying to remember. You can tell, oh God, Nick, I'm not going to remember this. I'm going to screw up. So there's a lot of memorization there. And I think I was so glad that Nick was the person to be kind of that supporter. I think he supported me throughout, and I felt so safe around him and comfortable to just kind of be embarrassing and go for it and try things out. And I think we got to play off each other in that way, which is so important for characters like this that are basically enemies, but they also kind of love each other and they also weirdly respect one another. But she's like, I'm going to kill you, and he doesn't know it. And so it's extremely complicated. And to have, Nick be that sparring partner with me was just, thank God it was him.
But those were always the scenes I'd look forward to most, because there's so many switches within each one, and then each character bettering the other one and coming back, and then reversals of each role, that you'd sit there and it'd be really fun because you know, we're working with Elle, just watching the tiny differences she'd make each take, and then how that affected what I was doing, and then the outcome of it at the end. I think we both have similar approaches to how we work, and I really respect her work ethic. And then it's just fun from that point on, where we can just kind of let loose on the scene and see where it takes us.
Well, it really is a great relationship between these two characters. If you haven't seen The Great out there yet, please do check it out. It hit Hulu on May 15th.